Welcome to today's video. We are challenging the traditional 30% housing rule and exploring when paying 40% of your net income for rent can be a smart, strategic decision. We will connect the dots between zero debt, strong savings, shorter commutes, and better quality of life. By the end, you will have a practical framework to evaluate whether a premium location is worth it for you. Here's the plan for today. First, we will examine why the 30% housing rule is outdated. Next, we will clarify when paying 40% can be smart. Then, we will quantify the value of cutting your commute. After that, we will walk through how to run the numbers step by step. We will also highlight lifestyle upgrades that actually pay you back. Finally, we will test your understanding with a couple of quick quizzes and close with actionable key takeaways. This content is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as financial, legal, or tax advice. Everyone's situation is different. Please consult a qualified professional to assess your individual circumstances before making any decisions. Let's start with context. The 30% rule, which suggests keeping housing costs at or below 30% of your income, is a rule of thumb, not a universal law. It was built for average cases, not optimized, high savings scenarios. If you have no consumer debt, no student loans, and no car payments, then your monthly cash flow is far less constrained. Combine that with strong emergency funds and robust retirement contributions, and the marginal stress of a slightly higher rent can be negligible. In many cases, proximity to work and life amenities can deliver outsized gains in time, health, and mental clarity. That is because time is valuable, and reduced friction leads to greater daily satisfaction and, often, higher productivity. This flowchart answers a core question. When does 40% rent make sense? Start at the top. You are considering paying 40% of net income for rent. First, check whether you have zero high-interest debt. If the answer is no, the recommendation is to hold off and strengthen your foundation. If yes, move to the next diamond asking whether you have a 6 to 12-month emergency fund. If that is no, again, delay and build reserves. If yes, confirm whether your retirement contributions are on track, such as maxing your tax-advantaged accounts. Next, evaluate the commute reduction. If you can cut 45 to 60 minutes or more per day, that is a strong positive. Then assess whether your quality of life would genuinely improve, including stress levels, sleep, and access to healthy routines. If all of these are yes, the flowchart routes you to a green light where paying 40% can be smart. There is also a side branch that considers lease flexibility. If you can exit or adjust easily after changes in income, that increases your flexibility buffer. If not, it reduces it and may argue for caution. Here's a simple process to quantify the decision. First, estimate your hourly net pay by dividing your net monthly income by your total working hours per month. Second, calculate time saved by multiplying minutes saved per workday by roughly 22 workdays per month. Third, monetize the time saved by multiplying the saved hours by your hourly net pay. Fourth, compare the monthly rent difference between the cheaper and the premium apartment against the monetized time savings, plus reduced commuting costs like gas, parking, or transit. Fifth, stress test your scenario. Ask what happens if your income drops by 20%, or if you need to move cities within a year. Finally, check your safety basics. Zero debt, a 6 to 12-month emergency fund, and retirement contributions on track. If the numbers and safeguards line up, the premium can be justified. This table compares a cheaper unit with a premium apartment near work. In this example, the rent increases by $600 per month. However, daily commute drops by 60 minutes, which over a month translates to roughly 22 hours saved. If your net hourly value is $35, that time is worth about $770. Direct commute costs might drop from $180 to $60, saving $120. You might also reduce lunch costs by preparing food at home, saving $100. When you add these together and subtract the rent difference, you come out ahead by approximately $390 per month. While your numbers will differ, the framework shows how paying a higher rent can still yield a net gain. This visualization contrasts a typical 30% rent allocation with a 40% rent allocation when you live near work. In the first chart, rent is 30%, commute costs are around 8%, and eating out is 10%. Savings and investments together are 32%. In the second chart, rent rises to 40%, but commute costs fall to about 3%, and food away from home drops to roughly 6% because it is easier to prepare meals or take midday breaks at home. Importantly, savings and investments remain steady. The message is that if you maintain your savings rate while cutting friction costs, the higher rent does not necessarily reduce your financial progress. This timeline compares a day with a long commute against a day in a walkable setup. In a long commute, there is an hour each way spent in transit, a longer lunch out, and a compressed evening. In the walkable version, the morning and evening walks are short. The lunch break allows a quick return home, and there is a built-in opportunity for errands or a brief rest. The saved time expands your evening, which can be used for exercise, relationships, learning, or side projects. Beyond dollars, consider lifestyle compounding. Walking to work provides built-in daily exercise, which supports better health and mood. Shorter distances enable true breaks and home-cooked meals, which can cut food costs and improve nutrition. Reduced traffic means less stress and more mental bandwidth for higher quality work and personal time. Being near parks, gyms, and friends increases the odds that you will stick with healthy habits and foster relationships. These gains, while hard to quantify precisely, are real and accumulate over time. On the left is the traditional 30% rule. It is simple and easy to remember. It works for average cases but often ignores the value of time and the impact of stress. It can constrain quality of life unnecessarily when your financial foundation is strong. On the right is the 40% strategy. It is context-aware and insists on a solid foundation first, zero debt, and a strong emergency fund. It explicitly values time savings and stress reduction, aiming for a higher net life return rather than fixation on a single ratio. Quiz time. Which prerequisite best supports paying 40% of net income on rent? Option A. Zero high-interest debt and a robust emergency fund. Option B. A desire for luxury finishes. Option C. A recently financed car with a large monthly payment. Option D. No savings but high income potential. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is A. The combination of zero high-interest debt and a robust emergency fund provides the safety you need. With that foundation, a higher rent percentage carries far less risk than it would otherwise. Second quiz. What is the most compelling reason to choose a premium apartment near work? Option A. To match friends' lifestyles. Option B. To reduce commute time and reclaim valuable hours. Option C. To qualify for a larger tax deduction. Option D. To impress your landlord. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Reducing commute time and reclaiming valuable hours is the central value proposition. Those hours can translate into improved health, less stress, and better productivity, which often outweigh the additional rent. Here are the key takeaways. First, rules of thumb are guides, not laws. Second, zero debt, a strong emergency fund, and retirement contributions on track provide flexibility. Third, quantify the value of saved time and compare it to the rent difference and reduced commuting costs. Fourth, once your foundation is built, prioritize quality of life return on investment. Finally, remember that time freedom is the ultimate asset. To summarize, your money should ultimately buy you time, health, and focus. If your numbers and safeguards align, paying 40% for rent can be a smart, defensible choice. Release rigid ratios in favor of optimizing for your life, return on investment, and revisit the decision regularly as your situation evolves. Thanks for watching. If this reframed your thinking, please like, share, and subscribe. In the comments, share your scenario and we can run the numbers together. See you in the next one.